I think this was a window for discussion that I saw opening during my online WhatsApp classes. I hope it has put forth clearly the new dynamics of teacher-student relationship and the role of the family mobile in it. Thank you for being so patient with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Navi. This was really a very good beginning. There's so much of food for thought in what you've just shared. These are challenges that are so real, and it is wonderful to see that you are trying to find and offer solutions that are community, that include community involvement. Is there any question? Would anybody like to ask a question to the presenter here? Any question? You can unmute yourself or put the question in the chat box. I don't see questions. So
I hope that's exactly what I wanted to say, but that was enough, I think.
I really liked what you had to say, and I would like to connect with you at some point later, perhaps.
Maybe just one question.
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what is the way forward? What do you think should be done to address all these issues?
Well, there's this one thing that I've been thinking ever since, even before the pandemic, I've been thinking of one thing, that R&Ds, I think there should be R&Ds, research and development cell we can have in each district, wherein teachers can directly report to teachers only, or principals or professors, because generally what I have seen, officers cannot do much at their end to help us with our problems and their solutions. So I really would like to see some R&Ds being developed in each district. Just like an MNC can have an R&D, why can't our education sector have an R&D in each district, so that it becomes easier for us to connect with everybody and we can understand each other's problems better.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. More? Pushta has a question.
Dr. Nav, yes. More of like I wasn't able to unmute myself previously. I really like your idea of R&D. What my question to you is, like, currently when you are in the school, and you're talking about R&D, so are you talking about R&D where teachers from different schools in the community are coming together, or are you talking about a system where they are actually conversing with their own heads and everything? Or what are the contributions or the ideology of your heads of the schools regarding the problems that the teachers are facing in the organization itself, right? Yeah. If you are facing certain problem, what is the idea of the teachers or of the principals and the heads who can actually work towards this particular problem?
Yeah, actually, when I say R&D, I imagine an R&D where we can come together. Be it a teacher, be it a professor from some other colleges, because I've been in connection with the other professors as well. There are some senior professors who would like to add to would like to contribute to this whole thing of teaching learning in rural schools. And last year also we had an ELT workshop where all the teachers gathered, and we were discussing the problems that we were facing. So I found that some problems were similar and some others were not similar. So it was an area specific thing, which can be dealt only when we come together on a certain platform. So we can have maybe a center in the city, or somewhere all the teachers can come, and gradually it can develop into something like regular visits to other schools as well. What I mean to say is that there should not be any control from the official side when we want to develop an R&D. It should be solely based on, it should be solely made up of teachers only. Teachers and all the people who can actually add through their all knowledge regarding research and all, educational research. This is what I mean when I want to say R&D, because I've been seeing this whole thing that a lot of interference from the official side, or sometimes even government.
The managerial side, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that response and for the question. That was really relevant, because I think what Dr. Navi is trying to perhaps stress upon is the fact that we need to visualize and bring into everybody's notice the fact that teachers are the best judge of their contextual challenges, and therefore a research and development approach to modification or betterment of the curriculum can be one way in which to encourage a larger and research-based approach to education as a whole, and also take the community's inputs into this entire process. So that's a wonderful idea, but then we know that there are systemic challenges, but well, that should not put us off. So this is how perhaps, ideas generated from teachers can build into the education system. So thank you, Dr. Navi, for that presentation. And there was a lot of food for thought. So thank you. Now like to move on to our second presenter for today, and we will have Manisha Kumari. Are you here, Manisha?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Yes. So Manisha Kumari will be talking about using content and language integrated learning, CLIL, with technopedagogy to enhance learning output in the ELT classroom. Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. Can I switch off my camera because my network connectivity is very poor?
Yes. Maybe while you're presenting, you can switch it off, and once your presentation is over, if you feel your bandwidth will support you, we would like to have you back. So yeah, it's up to you.
So much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Manisha madam, your the PPT is now at your control. You can change it whenever you want. I made you presenter. Okay.
Okay, sir. So, sir, do I need to just click on the arrow to change my slides?
Yeah. At the bottom, you can see the arrow.
Okay, thank you. I got it.
Okay.
So a very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Manisha Kumari, Research Scholar, Central University of South Bihar. And today I would be presenting on the topic using content and language integrated learning with technopedagogy to enhance learning output in the ELT classroom. So to begin with, first of all, I would like to introduce what is content and language integrated learning. So it is basically an umbrella term covering a dozen or more educational approaches like bilingual education, multilingual education, or content-based instruction. It has four objectives, like 4 C's, which is cognition, community, content, and communication. So the whole idea is based on language learning through cognition and community and content and communication. And in this approach, the teacher has the independence. The teacher has the freedom to choose his or her own content. For example, if I'm teaching English to grade 8 learners, I can always prepare my own teaching material, and my curriculum, my syllabus should not be based upon the textbook prescribed by the government. I can always frame my own curriculum, like I can choose important topics from social science, from topics which are interesting to students based on their interest, and I can always make my own content which is student oriented and child centric. Then let's move on to why should we choose content and language integrated learning and why it is child-centric. So first of all, it has multiple focus, like it supports language learning in content classes. It supports content learning. So here the focus is dual. Both the learning of language as well as content is taking place, and it integrates several subjects together. Like I said before, I can always choose topics from social science like history, geography, or political science, or topics which are of interest to children, and I can frame my own lesson. Then it is very safe and it provides a very safe and enriching learning environment because it is basically based on activity. So there's a lot of collaboration, then less of teacher talk and more student involvement. Then it is child-centric and it promotes students' choice and voice. So the teacher only scaffolds the learners instead of talking much or giving lectures in the classroom. It is authentic because the teacher has the freedom to choose her own content. Then active learning takes place because there's a lot of student communication more than the teacher. teacher acts as facilitators. They negotiate the meaning of language and content with students. And also because it is based, it is based on scaffolding and building on students' existing knowledge, skills, attitudes, interests, and experience. So in this paper, I have thought of integrating the content and language integrated learning with techno-pedagogy, because during these times, pandemic times, when schools are closed, children are at home and remote learning is taking place. So obviously teachers, they have been able to grapple with this, and they have learned a lot. Teachers who did not know anything about technology, teachers who were basically teaching in the classroom face-to-face method, they have learned a lot, and they are using a lot of technology for their lessons. So if in this situation, if they choose to use content and language integrated learning, and if they integrate that with techno-pedagogy, then I believe that it would be basically it will be very motivating to learners. So what is techno-pedagogy? It is a pedagogy based on content, pedagogy, and technology. So the main objective of techno-pedagogy is to prepare techno-pedagogues and not technocrats. So with the help of techno-pedagogy, like Google Classroom, Google Jamboards, Padlets, ProPops, Kahoot, Hot Potatoes, then these lessons can be very interesting and very child-centric. Teachers can create animated lessons through Go Animate for Schools, Powtoon, Make It, Share It, TED-Ed. So Thingling. So these are some of the platforms or tools with the help of which teachers can create their own animation videos, animation lesson, and it can be very beneficial, because this gives a lot of space for students to collaborate, students to take part, instead of just be mere listeners, which is indeed very boring for the learners. So when we integrate content and language integrated learning with techno-pedagogy, definitely the learning of language and content comes together, and the focus is on both. It has proved to be significantly effective in improving linguistic skills as well as content knowledge of the learners, it has been proved with the help of many researchers. And then activities like hot seat, mind maps, quizzes, storyboard, speak for an audience, these activities can be framed in order to interest the learners, because we all know that language learning is not a subject learning. We don't need to just learn the names of the characters or moral of the story or who is the author of the story. The main objective to teach language is to teach them how to speak, how to use that language for their daily, day-to-day purpose. So if these activities are used, then definitely they will help the learners to achieve their language learning goals. Then how this should be implemented. So in order to implement this innovative teacher pedagogy, it is very important to empower and train teachers, because until and unless the teachers are empowered or trained, they won't be able to deliver the lesson through content and language integrated learning. Then we also need to fill the technology divide gap, because in a country like India, there are learners who have who have access to good technology and devices, but there are learners who don't have. So it is very important that the government and other agencies who are responsible stakeholders, they should just fill the technology divide gap. Then they should prepare meaningful and interactive e-content, because content and language integrated learning cannot be taught with just English textbooks or grammar textbooks. They need to have their own content, which is based on the interest of the learners, and also which has like a integrated focus. Then designing e-courses for school learners, and proper monitoring should also be done, and also feedback from the learners should be taken. So these are some of the steps which needs to be followed in order to implement this pedagogy. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Madam is having a network problem. She will join shortly. If anybody interested to ask any questions, they can start asking questions. Madam will join shortly. She has some network issue.
All right, sir. All right.
If you want to continue another 2-3 minutes, or if somebody wants to ask any question, they can ask.
I think if questions come around, I will be more comfortable with that because I'm done with my presentation.
Okay. First of all, Nisha ma'am, you had a lovely presentation and you have some amazing ideas over here that can be implemented. My question to you is, when we're talking about framing e-content, okay, or
Yes.
framing the own data, right? So, like nowadays, like being a teacher, I know that I always have this pressure from the management of completing the syllabus as well, right? No matter how much extra things or how much relative things I want to include in the syllabus, right? But then I have this set NCERT books that I need to cover. So how can I incorporate that using your ideas? If you can just share some ideas or your viewpoint upon this, because I always have that pressure from the teachers, from the management as well.
Yes, exactly. Teachers, they do have pressure from management. They have the pressure to finish their syllabus. They have to reach their goals. But content and language integrated learning is all about the freedom to learn language. So in this context, if you want to use this, you can always have like a short-term content and language learning classes. Like you can for example, during summer vacation or during winter vacation, you can always frame 2 or 3 chapters, small chapters, and you can have number of activities based on them, and you can always have them for like daily 40 to 30 minutes online classes. So during these times, like in pandemic times when students are at home, and so if we go back to school, so children, they will definitely have summer vacation or winter vacation. So at that time, when you cannot implement this in your school on regular basis, you can have that when you have vacation or something like that. Short-term content and language. So it is basically like my idea. This idea is basically for those who are not able to implement this. But it would be better if this is implemented for long term, because this has a lot of benefit, because this is basically based on scaffolding. Teachers are scaffolders and learners are the participants.
Okay. Yes, thank you for your input. My only concern with this is, when I am also hearing, because I believe in bringing up the autonomy of the children. Most of the children are very open to it. I'll be talking about it in my presentation as well. However, many a times what happens is that the parents see, some of the parents are not that, in the school that I'm teaching, are not that open to the idea that, children are doing extra activities on their own. They are like, the ma'am is giving all the work for us to do. She's not giving us notes. I do not know the exact answer. So how do we deal with such parents? How do we cater to such parents? Because they are coming from the notion that there is a right answer, there is a wrong answer about the content, the language as well. They want that
So
perfectly written.
Yes, exactly. You are 100% correct. So in this situation, it is our duty, it is duty of the language teachers to change this mindset, because in language classrooms, we cannot have one correct answer. Like suppose I teach one story to a child, so I cannot expect every child to give the same moral, because everybody's perception, everybody's interpretation can be different. We cannot like force children to think in one single way. So like with our work, it is our duty to change the perception of the teachers, and then only we can be able to teach English language properly. Otherwise we all know that English is being taught in India since independence, after independence. But what is the status of the language learners? In school, they just pass their exams, and later on, when they go to higher education, they're definitely not able to fathom, they're not able to understand the content. Many students, like apart from elite English,
it has become more of an academic rather than a language. It has become an academic subject.
They are not able to think in English. Definitely, we don't want them to think in English, but because English is the link language, English is the global language.
It's also the official language.
So like
we have to go with that. It's an official language. It's an official language.
Most of the good books, they are available in English. So it is very important to understand the language.
Hello. Thank you, Manisha ma'am, and it was a wonderful presentation. So on CLIL. So I actually want to ask that so this approach CLIL is more of aligned with the contextual thematic approach or contextual thematic language teaching. And so how and this is very, as you said, and it is very very broad approach. Then how a language teacher, an English language teacher, can integrate content as well as language? The teachers are supposed to teach language rather than the content, right? So how a teacher can perceive the content through this approach, and how the teacher can perceive the language?
When we frame a lesson in content and language integrated learning, we have two goals. One is content goal, and the other one is the language goal. So suppose I choose one chapter from civics. I choose one chapter from civics, and like in civics book, the chapter is written in a language which is basically meant for civics book, very mechanical. But I need to modify that in a very friendly and giving it a very like story-like twist, so that children are interested in learning the concepts of the civics. So if the language of the civics chapter is given a very story-like twist, it will be interesting to the learners. So in this way, you like children will be able to learn new words, new vocabulary, as well as they would be able to understand the content of the civics, which otherwise becomes very boring when it is to some children when it is taught from the civics book. So in this way, a two-way goal is being achieved. I hope I have been able to explain.
Thank you, Manisha. I was hoping that we would be able to take questions after 2 or 3 presentations together to save time, and I'm terribly sorry that I lost network in between. So if there are any more questions for Manisha, maybe the audience can put it in the chat box, and we will make sure Manisha can see that. Okay, so if you thank you so much, Manisha, for your presentation. I'm afraid I only managed to listen to half of it, but I'm sure you made a wonderful point. So we will now move on to our third presenter. So we have with us Mohsina Siddiqui. Do we have you here, Mohsina? Is Mohsina with us?
I don't think so, madam. She's not in the list. I can't see her
Oh.
name.
Okay,
She's not
all
in-
right.
Okay.
That's okay. If she joins later, we can always accommodate her at the end. Then let us move on to Moshmi Day. Moshmi, are you there? Moshmi Day, is she there? I don't see Moshmi Day either.
Even she is not there.
Okay, then we move on to our fifth presenter, Nilavu, R. Nilavu, who will talk to us on teaching vocabulary. Is our presenter here? Ms. R. Nilavu, are you there? I don't see her either. Then we will go on to our sixth presenter. I don't know what is happening today. Maybe people are having some issues joining. So let us move on to our sixth presenter. And I hope we do have our sixth presenter with us. Mr. Jadhav, are you here? Mr. Muralidhar Krishna Rao
No,
Jadhav.
madam. Even he is not there.
So Naranji, the floor is all yours then.
Yes. Yeah, I'm there.
Yes. Yes, I know you would be here. So good to have you back. Good to see you. So
Yeah.
Naranji Chaube would be presenting on shifting paradigms in teaching learning in post-COVID-19. And if your presentation is ready, maybe you can start presenting. If you would like to be on video, we would love to see you too.
Yeah, I'm there. Am I visible now?
I can only see your name. Yeah, there you are. Yes.
All
Do you have
right.
any PPT, sir? You have any? No.
Yeah, I uploaded the PPT. Can you
Yes.
just display it?
Yes, it was acknowledged. The PPT.
Which one, sir? Here I can't see.
It is shifting paradigm in teaching learning, Narayanji Chaube.
I can't see any. You do one thing, sir. I'll make you presenter. There
Right.
is a display monitor symbol you can see, so that you
Okay.
can share the screen. Okay. I'll make you the presenter now. Okay.
This is that button. Can you just?
Yeah, right. I'll tell you.
It is a plus button that will show on the left bottom of the screen.
Right. Display monitor you'll get. And 1 second. Yeah, on
Can
the
I do
right
it?
side you can see. On the right side you can see the display symbol, sir.
It is okay. Share your screen.
Share
Right.
the screen. Yeah, yes, sir. If you
Got
click
it.
that, your screen will be shared. You open the PPT, just click the share
Okay.
the screen.
Sure. I'm coming. Let me know when you see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Is that visible now?
Not. Yeah, it's opening, sir. It's opening. It will take some time. Yeah, now we can see.
If you could make it screen share mode.
Show
I did
screen.
it.
Full screen, sir. You can.
Yeah, full screen.
Yeah, fine. You can see.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, we can see, but it is not showing full screen, sir. It's only PPT.
If you could press F5 on your computer, it will bring up the presentation on the screen, on the slide share mode.
I did that. Let me do it.
Or
again.
the hourglass at the bottom right of your screen.
Yeah. That I did.
It's
Okay, maybe we can just look at it on this view. That's okay.
Okay, let me stop sharing and do it again.
on the top. You can see, sir, that
Otherwise, you could just leave it like this and we'll take it from there. Yeah, all right.
So is it the PPT visible to you all or not? Yeah, is there?
Not yet.
not it, sir. Yeah, it's opening, sir. Now it's opening.
It's in
Again,
the
same.
same mode.
Full screen you can show. Otherwise, no problem. You can continue.
That's okay. Maybe you can just share it like this.
I did the full screen, but I don't know why it is not coming.
It's okay. Let us just listen to what you have to say, and we'll watch this. No
All right.
issues.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Narayanji Chaube, and I'm ALT consultant and academic manager in a school chain, which is the State MR Jaipuria Schools. And the corporate office of this school is New Delhi. So I'm located at New Delhi. Let me quickly brief about the schools, and then I'll come to my point. My topic is shifting paradigm in online teaching. So it is post COVID-19, what the things changed in the classrooms that I'm just going to share. So this school chain is run by Seth Hamar Jaipuria Group, which started its first school in Lucknow in 1992, and currently we are having 34 schools across UP, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh. The schools mainly are located in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, right? And they have the mission that we are providing it the quality education in all the cities to the children of these Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Now, I'll just talk about the challenges because it is innovation, challenges, and all we're talking about. Post-COVID, when the pandemic broke out, all of a sudden the teachers were in search of one substitute so that learning can continue. And they faced a lot of challenges. What were those challenges? Because most of the schools were in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So the first challenge what they faced was, and I am sure that it was experienced by most of the teachers, it was very difficult to continue the classes. So the whole teaching community came to the online platforms. So for running classes online, there was a problem of internet connection. So it was the first challenge, and it was really very, very great challenge for them. So poor internet connection. The second important challenge for them was when they were having their classes on online. So the devices in their the family members, they had limited devices, and because the parents were working, so they could not find the device to attend this online classes. The third was student connect was not possible. They were not finding devices, so it was really very difficult to connect to the students. And it is emotional connect also, which was earlier possible in physical classrooms. Finally, because they were not able to do all these listening skill practices. And the last very important thing was they were just not able to keep this skill in practice, which was writing skill. And the last one, which was experienced by all the teachers, was fair assessment. Assessment was not done. It was done, but they could not make it sure that was it happening fair or not, because most of the parents were there and they all were helping the students. Now, after this challenges, I will come to the strategies which teachers had to overcome these challenges. So now, because it was a poor internet connection, so what they did is, instead of doing it on synchronous platforms, having classes on Zoom and other Google Meet, other platforms, they relied on WhatsApp. So the very first thing, because to continue learning, it was important to have something in hand, and they started WhatsApp Messenger, sending lessons, recorded audio lessons on WhatsApp. They had, and while they were doing this, students could access it any time of the day, not a fixed timetable that the classes are running from 9 to 12 or 9 to 11. So the WhatsApp was the one choice, the alternate for conducting or continuing online education. So that was the strategy to mitigate this problem. The problem was a poor internet connection. Second important was lack of devices, as I discussed. So the parents were not available throughout the day, and they had just one mobile phones on which the children could have their online classes. So they became flexible here, and what they did. Now, second was the personal call to the students. So they started calling students and asking them then where, at what time the parents are available at the home, either in the morning or in the late evening. So they scheduled their classes that way. they had their classes in early mornings. Let's say it was around 7:30 or 8. So they could have one early morning class, and then they could have at one late evening classes. So there was a flexibility. Timetable was not rigid. It was flexible timetable for the students. Some of the classes are happening in the early morning. Some of the classes were happening in this late evening. So that was the one innovation, I could say, that the teachers found out, that yes, if the device was not available throughout the day, we can continue the learning by having these ideas. Yeah, and then as I discussed that student connect and the emotional connect was not possible in the large class. Even the large class, when I say, they were not also they were not able to retain the number of students in the large classes. So they decided to have it in small groups. So small groups, like let's say 10 students in a one group, and they started discussing with them. They started personalizing the experience, learning experiences. So that was the one solution for them, because they were not able to connect with the student emotionally, and the physical connect which they were having actually in their physical classrooms. The assessment, which was not happening, which was not supposed to happen fair in this online classes, though it happened. Assessment was happening, but they all shifted to online tools, whether they were depending mostly on the quizzes and mostly on the questions which were objective in nature, not the subjective. So all they started doing it. So to make it fairer, what they did, they started doing it in the small groups, let's say 2 or 3, and they had a strict this monitoring system in small groups. They were keeping visual on them. Are they using something? They have opened their camera, and they are not moving here and there. They are not taking help of something. Let's say 10 minutes or 15-minute assessment, and during that time they are throughout on the camera. These were some small things that is started doing it, and by doing this, they could make it possible that learning continued. Though it was not guaranteed that they were making it 100% fair assessment, but yet they start doing it. So, and finally, the motivation of a student, again, it was missing in the online classes, and they all were learning how to do it, because in physical classroom, it was possible walking to the student, patting, hugging the students, but all these things teachers were missing in these online classes. So what they started doing, they started giving them personal compliments in the classroom, giving badges, giving stars, right, applauding them in the group. So and giving them good comments, compliments on their work. Doing all these things, they started motivating students, and actually all these things were done to engage and involve students actively in the classroom, online classes. This was a challenge not for the student, but it was a challenge for the teachers as well. Teachers were also having low bandwidth, not good internet connection, and then even they were also having not, they had this one smart mobile phones and all, but somewhere they were also not having good network. Just because of pandemic, most of them went back to their hometowns. So somewhere they were also finding it very difficult. But using all these ideas, they tried to keep the learning on, and they just made it sure that technologically they are advancing. They started learning to the technological tools. They started to upgrade their skills so that the classes could be engaging, the classes could be interesting for them. For that, what they did, the resources they were started using in their English classrooms. Initially they were not using all, they did not have the boards and all, they did not have the knowledge of all these things. So they started using transparent files as the whiteboard. So the transparent files, they started writing on with the sketch pen or the board marker pens, and started showing as they started using at a whiteboard. This was the first innovation did by the teachers. And gradually they came to know that yes, we have the options of whiteboards, we have the options of collaborative boards where the students can come learn together in the classroom. But this was the one thing. Now they were evolving. They started taking the image of the lessons and then send it through the WhatsApp groups, WhatsApp messengers, and they asked their comments on them. They started clicking the pictures of the question answers. They started sending and started asking the answers of all these things. Yes, now because the PPT slides were not new for them, but yes, they started making PPT slides enabled with audio. So they started recording their audio in the PPT slides so that it could be personalized for the students. It could give a good touch to the students. Then gradually they started coming to the online video. They started embedding the videos like online. They started sending the useful videos related to the subjects. And when they came to know more about the technological tools, they started using the apps for teaching and learning, for assessment also. They started making the worksheets online. They started using all these things in their synchronous classes rooms, and not only synchronous platforms, but asynchronous classroom also started using it. So all these resources, when they started using it, now they felt that they are able to hold the class, hold the interest of a student in the class, and they can keep the learning on. Though the school building was closed, but the learning went on. Learning went on for them. So what were the things which actually shifted? So if I conclude, I would say they were the things mainly that pedagogical processes, content transaction, which was happening in the classroom, in the physical classroom where teacher was standing and physically delivering the lessons. Now here they are using technological tools like PPTs, like the all these technological apps that we are talking about, and they are delivering, they are transacting the content through technological tools. This was the one. The assessment was also done, not only the pen paper test, though initially it was done pen paper test, but now they are using a lot many the technological tools again, through which the immediate feedback of the assessment is given to them if it is objective in nature. And for the subjective, they started exploring the new and new tools. Then finally, for the student engagement, they have a lot many things for the group discussion, peer discussion. They have the breakout rooms, they have the whiteboards, they have collaborative boards, and they started using all these things. So all these things were used by teachers, and these were the things which quickly changed from physical classroom to the online classrooms. And gradually by now, they are efficient and they can use the things, but still they are learning and lot many things to learn. And every day, because everything is changing in this this IT world, so the tools are coming up and they are trying their best to make their classroom lively. So with this, I end my presentation. I thought I am not up the time. No.
Yes, actually you did finish your 10 minutes, but yeah, since we have fewer presentations, we didn't want to stop you. So okay. Would you like to have another minute to conclude, or are you done with your presentation?
Almost I have done, but yes, for a minute, just let me come to this. So, okay. So when I was talking about this shifting paradigm post COVID-19, I could see this, and even the teachers of, teachers who are on the verge of, I should say, retirement, should not know retirement actually, but yes, the very senior teachers who were actually scared of using technology in the classroom, physical classroom, now they are loving it. They are loving it and they are using it very efficiently these days. They are now in the if I say pre-COVID time, if they were not showing interest in all those tools, now they are learning. Why? Because they got to know that this is the only way out or the way forward to take our classes and to engage our students and to get the good feedback from the student also. Otherwise, if it is again in the lecture mode, if I am just lecturing in the class in my online classroom, that is not going to be interesting and joyful for the students. The moment it is not joyful, students do not switch on their cameras. They do not participate in the classroom, they do not engage themselves. So all these things quickly changed within 6 months. And now when we have passed almost 1 year, more than 1 year in this mode of teaching, which is online teaching, I could say this, that the teachers are efficient now, learning, and still they are learning. Thank you so much now.
Thank you, Narayan. I really liked the innovations that you have been sharing with us, and I think that's a really good way forward. Beginning at the teachers and helping them to devise their own innovations and creativity. The teachers have so much to offer. So I think acknowledging these is the right way forward. So thank you so much for this. Any questions that our audience might have for you, we can take at the end of this presentation. So let us then move to the 8th presentation in the official order, but the 4th presentation actually. So we will now have Nazir Hundekar, who, and Nazir, I hope you are ready.
Yes, madam, I am ready.
Okay, thank you. And Nazir will be presenting on mentoring enhancement, peer coaching as a professional development activity. So if you you do have a PPT, I suppose, so please you begin your presentation, Nazir.
Yes, madam, it is uploaded in the system. I'm waiting for that.
Okay, so I think Raghavendra will have to enable sharing options now. Yeah, there we are. Yeah,
yes,
it's loading. Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen, madam?
Yes, we can see your screen. If you want to come on video, we could also have, see you.
Yeah.
If you prefer to not be on video, that's all right. Also.
Yeah, I'm on video.
Okay, thank you. We can see you. Yes.
Yeah.
Please,
okay.
please proceed.
Thank you. Okay. Respected chairperson, my colleague presenters and delegates, good afternoon to you all. I'm Nazir, assistant master and government teacher trainer from class 1 to 8. So my topic is mentoring enhancement peer coaching as a professional development activity. So what is peer coaching? Peer coaching is a process through which 2 or more colleagues work together to reflect on current practices, expand, refine, and build new skills, share ideas, teach one another, conduct classroom research, or solve problems in the workplace. So now let me tell you first that what prompted me or motivated me to mentor enhancement peer coaching. First thing is, which prompted me was my participation in enhancement peer mentoring conducted by Dr. Richard Smith of Warwick University, UK, and Dr. Ravi Narayan, RIESI, Bangalore. After participating there, I started thinking differently. Then second thing, I was part of my district helpline in Vidyagama project of Karnataka government. What is Vidyagama project of Karnataka government? A continuous learning program for school children in which teachers teach students in community halls and other open areas, including religious place or under the shade of big tree. So these 2 things led me to experiment or mentor this enhancement peer coaching as a professional development activity. So when I was part of helpline of my district team, when I visited schools as a member of helpline team, I could observe my colleagues are in DIY mode, that is do it yourself and resilient. Plan to go for enhancement peer coaching who think of professional development. This exercise examines one structure of collaborative work in Karnataka through peer coaching. Shall I go to next slide?
Yes, sir. You can change it at the bottom. You can see the
Bottom. Okay.
Right,
Okay. Thank
right.
you. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So I started with the plan which you are able to see on the screen. So I planned like this. I invited 25 teachers from different districts of my Karnataka, and then duration was for 4 weeks. And I selected online mode for this workshop. Then I selected Google Meet, Zoom Meet, WhatsApp group, WhatsApp calling, and Gmail for our communication of peer coaching plan. Then when they consented me to join for enhancement peer coaching, I had a plan. I put them in random pairing. So everyone was unknown to each other. So I made use of the random pairing and I put them in pairs. Then let me go to next slide, please. Okay, fine. I engaged my participants in a briefing session followed by 3 dialogue sessions, reflecting on and documenting the experience and sharing reflection within group and develop professionally through enhancement peer coaching approach. So as I mentioned you that I planned for 4 weeks program. So in first webinar, on first meeting, I briefed my colleague teachers related to what is the aim of this exercise or the workshop, then how we are going to meet each other, meeting arrangements, then how do we build rapport, and how do we take turns in peer coaching, dialogue delivery sessions, how do we listen attentively, how do we reflect back, asking questions, avoiding judging. And I also discussed about sympathetic body language, listening behavior, and taking notes by hand. And I advised them to respect each other's confidentiality. Then I gave first webinar briefing. After initial briefing, then I provided them with 3 questions which you will be able to see towards your left side block, that is on topic difficulties and their achievements. So these 3 questions I supplied them, and I told during this next week time, you will get in touch with your partner and fix a convenient time to both of you. Then ask these questions to each other, and you can also ask any prompt questions if you have to probe the difficulties and their achievements from their partner. Then ultimately they fixed the timing, their convenient timing. Then they had a video conference by making use of the software, whichever is convenient to them. I told not to prefer telephonic conversations because we need to be present for each other and learn even the body language, gesture, sitting posture has to be learned here from each other. They had immediately after having each one of the participants, they shared their reflections of their peer coaching dialogue delivery session, how it was, what was the what was the software they used, and what was the duration they had their peer coaching session, and what are their learnings from the peer coaching session number 1. They were asked to reflect in the WhatsApp group by written reflection report. Then I switched over. Then after 1 week, second week, again we had a gathering through online webinar, and there we asked our participants to share their experiences verbally. Now already they have shared in the group, but now they were given opportunities to share verbally. Then they shared verbally because now they shared to all the participants, all the remaining 24 participants. Then the next 3 questions for next week were supplied on the topic pinpointing recent successes. So in which I supplied 3 more questions, that is question number 4. Then question number 5, what were the signs of your success? What particular successful experiences have you had recently? What were the reasons for your success? They again...
Nazir, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. You had actually 2 minutes, but we will be happy if you could wind up in 5 more minutes.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Then we went for 3rd week. Same exercise was repeated, written reflective reports in WhatsApp group. And when we gathered for next webinar, that is 3rd, then same thing was repeated. They were asked to share their successes of their partners and what did they learn about from their successes of their partners, how they are going to build on the successes of their partners, and how the partners will build, and how they will change, how they will exchange their resources. Then at the end of the 3rd webinar, we shared the last 3 questions, question number 7, 8, and 9, that those 3 questions were related to exploring and building on success. What do you want to explore further to extend your success? What could you do to extend your success? What have you gained from this peer coaching overall, and what will you do from now, when, and how? Then these questions, again, they repeated the session. It went very well. They enjoyed each other's successes. They enjoyed, Then they shared with each other. Then, okay, let me go to the next slide. See, when they shared through the reflective report in the WhatsApp group, and their sharing in the group in the webinars, I could collect the data as evidences, like one teacher is facilitating learning in the community hall in small groups with some innovative activity, and the second picture gives evidence of the teacher conducting the class by maintaining all the norms of COVID situation in the temple, and the third teacher is conducting his class in fields, and the fourth one is conducting under a big tree, and fifth picture gives evidence of a teacher conducting the mathematics class through online. Okay, then the last picture gives evidence that teacher made use of his compound wall to draw the picture related to one lesson of the textbook titled as grandma. Okay, then he has got printed the entire picture along with the keywords to facilitate that lesson to the learners of high school section. Then when we look at other...
Dr. Nazir, could you please begin winding up now?
2 minutes. And shall I take 2 minutes?
Yeah, just 2 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you. Then the data collected, you can see 3 written reports where Asha from Mysore says, I have shared concept map. She's talking about her partner, mind map done by his student. He encourages his kids to write them after each topic. During pandemic, he has conducted online classes so that students don't lose touch with studies. I really loved the idea of concept mapping through which reading and writing skills, which I am going to use in my class as well. See how the learning, Asha accepts learning from her peers' strategy. Then same way, if you look at second, Indira reflects in her reflective report from Coorg district that my partner was hardworking, dedicated, enthusiastic. Things and approaches made him to reflect on his professional development. Okay, implementation of new approaches and novel techniques for the acquisition of competencies. So she appreciates her colleague. Then the third one, Liaquat Ali reflects on her partner that, my partner learned how to tackle practical problems in the classroom while teaching English. I strongly appreciate ma'am's activity-based teaching and friendly, respecting each child, personally attending with deep faith to all, creating an enjoyable learning environment, practicing Midas touch. See how they developed the attitude of appreciating each other. So with this, what happened, here we could make out what are the successes. Reaching all the teachers came to know from each other that most of us reached out to children, promote self-learning in children. Children were guided to continue their self-learning at home, making use of the learning materials provided. Then coming to the reasons for success, also they could share thinking. They started thinking differently. They attended webinars related to professional development during pandemic lockdown. That helped them to have the new ideas, passion towards teaching, commitment and dedication, urge to update ourselves, making use of teaching community. This all, with this, I would like to conclude with the findings. Collaborative norms developed in workplace, developed communication, could bridge the gap imposed by isolation, took risks, tried new ideas and strategies, experienced co-planning, developed reflective practice, developed research skills, developed stronger professional ties with colleagues. To conclude my presentation, peer coaching is a technique which can change teacher practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nazir ji. This was a really interesting presentation, and I wish we could have given you more time, but well, we are waiting for the next speaker. So thank you very much. And if there are any questions, we can take them during the Q&A time.
Right, madam. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to our final presenter for today, Nishtha Kamboj, who's been waiting very patiently from since the beginning. So Nishtha, if your PPT is ready, you could start. Yeah, and if you would like to do video on, yes, please. We would like to see you as you present. Thank you. Thank you. So
am I audible to everyone?
Just a second, Nishtha. My time is showing as 2:56 now. So we will maybe conclude by 3:10. Would that be enough for you? Okay. Thank you.
I hope so. Okay. First of all, I would like to wish a very warm thank you to all the chairperson. This is my first ever paper presentation. My name is Nishtha, and I am a trained graduate teacher at a public school in New Delhi. And I believe English language teaching, has been seeing paradigm shift over the decades, when the teachers have been researching, trying to overcome the challenges of teaching English as a second language. Many research projects to take up, they keep on learning, but shifting from physical classrooms to virtual screens in the drawing rooms has been the major challenge that I feel the teachers are facing. So today, I would not only like to cater to what all problems we are suffering from, but I would also today will be talking about what actually would be the aim of an English classroom during this pandemic time, as the aim changed, the challenges teachers face, and eventually the most important part that I feel is something that needs to be talked about is the solution to it, because just focusing on the challenges won't solve a purpose. So the first one, according to me, would be the aims of English classroom during COVID-19. We all have been talking about 21st century skills even before the pandemic. Teaching of students the 21st century skills to make them better global citizens, to make them self-independent learners, has been a focus for all the innovative teachers, all the new teachers, all the upcoming teachers, and the teachers who actually believe that English is not an academics to be covered, but actually a language that shall support every other thing. So apart from teaching just the LSRW through skill integration, I feel that the aim of an English classroom in COVID-19 shall be about imbibing 21st century skills. So I believe 21st century skills in learners has become even more important since the learning has shifted to online mode than it ever was before. So teaching them critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, giving them literacy skills like use of information, media, technology, and teaching them life skills like flexibility, initiative, productivity, and social skills has been very important these days. So while I was teaching the online classes, I believe there are a lot of challenges that we face. I have clubbed them into 5 major challenges that I felt that I faced during my classroom practices. The first one being that unavailability of required resources. So when we shifted directly from, like it was out of nowhere, we were hit by the tornado of this COVID-19, and we were suddenly asked to teach online. So it was a big challenge for everyone. The students did not have proper resources, especially the EWS category students within the school. But over the period, there were a lot of initiatives taken by the school and the government as well, where the students were provided the basic availability of such things. However, it was not enough, and still till date they face troubles like internet connection. They face trouble like not having proper mobile phones, having good kind of memory or internet or anything like that. Then coming to the low attendance, I personally believe in my school, in my classroom, the resources were not that much of a problem, but the low attendance was because these students were taking things very lightly. They were being laid back. They felt that online teaching is not of same value that of the physical teaching. So they did not attend. They had changed schedule. They were coming from privileged places. So they had this attitude, okay, we will be promoted to the next class. Why do we have to attend classes? They did not attend at all. And on inquiring them, many of the children also were very bold to state that they are having bad schedule now. So it was so they are waking up at night, so they're not able to get up in the morning for school, which came as a shock. So the seriousness of attending a class became low. Irregularity in different classes as well. Not attending some classes, attending other classes based on their own convenience. But then certain children also have some genuine issues, like their households were disturbed. Some of them were
environment, they were not feeling that comfortable. So no matter what the reason might be for different children, the result was that there was low attendance. Disturbed household, something which was out of control, and it still is. Parents not being well, students not being well, everyone cramped into the home, feeling sick, not only physically but also mentally exhausted, staying and staring at the four walls. Moving forward, financial issues over there, financial issues they are facing, loss of jobs, different mental issues the anyone in the family member has. So they just cause a disturbed household. Because of which the priority of attending classes was way behind. So the socioeconomic background of my learners is they are coming from privileged class, so they are coming from upper middle class families, but then we also have some of the EWS categories. So and those students were facing trouble with the technology which was provided to them somehow, but the attendance still remains. Then came, okay, these are the three things that I feel I do not have much control over being a teacher. But then came the fourth challenge that I faced, muted mics and off videos. Me as a person, I cannot teach, I cannot interact without having a look at the facial expression. I cannot interact without having, that connection. It became very difficult and depressing for me. Not responding, they were not turning on the video. Initially, they were scared that teacher will remove them, but eventually they also get used to it. So that fear also went away. And again, we're back to square one. The video plan. They were just not turning on the video. They were not interacting. And I, being an English teacher, I felt that I am not teaching any academic that I have to give them notes. I want them to use language. If they are not unmuting themselves, they are not using the language. Then how can I cater to building the skills? How can I cater the interest in the class? That was a major challenge that I felt that was of the class. Then the laid back attitudes of the learner. Like I told you, they were having low attendance. The reason being, they were awake at night. So they were more engaged in video games. They were more engaged in other things provided to them. They were not at all interested in taking the class. Or even when they're taking class, they're lying on the bed. They are slouching. They're half asleep. They're not waking up. They are just not there. So it became very challenging for me to initially to actually encourage them to be a part of the class. Because I believe if a learner is not active, they will never learn. If they're not actively engaged in the classroom, they will never actually learn anything, be it language, be it any other academic subject. So turning on the phone and just keeping it aside, that's the image that came to my mind when they were not turning on the video, they were not responding, they were only responding when they were having attendance. So that's when I started looking for some strategies. How to make online classes more interactive so that students are not forced, but they actually want to come to the class together. The first thing that I started to do was I started giving them more of the autonomy. So, and I started incorporating skills where their involvement was more, and I did not have to give them notes. So I started doing all the writing skills and everything using the writing process writing approach. They were brainstorming ideas. I divided them into groups. So this is something that all English teacher is very well aware of, and I believe it became even more useful during this time. I divided them into smaller groups, smaller self-help groups. So they were forcing each other that if you do not take part, then we will together be at loss. And I believe that it was coming from their peers. They were influenced more than the other when it was coming from me. So no call, nothing was that efficient when it was coming from me, but it was more efficient when it was coming from their peers. So I started doing this approach because it also gave them the sense that whatever they say, it can be altered. It can be changed. It's a process. You don't have to get it right in the first. It cannot be right in the first go. So if we are discussing together, we're giving pointers, we can modify it, we can focus our ideas after that, and then we can eventually, give a final presentation. So there is no fear of being wrong over here. Then I also incorporated activities like listening close before gap activity. Now over this, what is this activity? This is a hybrid activity of two activities. The first one being listening close, which is a listening skill activity. The second one being info gap activity, which is filling up of information because it is a pair activity. So what I did in this activity was I divided them into groups. I gave them half of the text that I had to teach because I'm teaching higher grades. I had to stick to the syllabus as well. I have to cover 9th standard NCERT syllabus. So I did not tell them, okay, we're going to do this chapter today, we're going to do that chapter today. They were also facing trouble of having the physical book. So what I did was the chapter was divided into the content was divided into different parts. In the group, 3 students, different students got different parts, and it also had blanks over there. Then I played an audio of it, which I recorded myself, and they were supposed to fill the information in their own part. And then they will be telling their information to the other child to make the complete sense. So it was done in parts, and they were listening to each other. They were speaking and telling their understanding to the child to make a complete understanding. So because they knew if they're not involved in this, they will not be able to understand. They have to take part. The second strategy that I incorporated was, encouraging students to create their own material. So instead of just giving them my material, giving them my presentations, I asked them to, do blog writing, have conversation over blogs regarding any chapter, any text that we are doing in the class. I asked them to be teachers for the day. So classes, I was doing presentation.
Nishtha, sorry to interrupt. Could you wind up in 2 minutes, please?
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I'll just take 1 more minute. I just have 2 more strategies to share. Can I do that?
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So, and I asked them to create tests and quizzes. So they were challenged. They were giving the text to create quizzes for others because they wanted their part to be better than the other. So while doing the test, they were themselves reading it. And then the students also wanted to answer it. It wasn't coming from, so they were also wanted to chapter before doing it. Then the next thing I involved a lot of visual aids. I incorporated collaborative stories through it, used activities like what's going on in the picture, comic strip creation. I used Pick Voice, which is an amazing app that came during the lockdown as well, where the picture was moving. So they created conversations, dialogue creations about the chapters, saying their views about the content using this. I asked them to vlog their thing. I asked them to create podcasts. So what I did was I used their interest to make them involved and complete my syllabus. It became more student-centric rather than being teacher-centric, and my work was being done at an easier level. I did not have to do much, so which was beneficial for me.
Nishtha, we lost your audio. We can't hear you anymore, Nishtha. Nishtha, can you hear me? Can other people hear me?
Yes, madam. Yeah,
okay.
We can hear.
I think we lost Nishtha for a minute.
Yeah, madam. Disconnect.
I am so sorry. I disconnected with that.
Yeah, no. You're back. Good.
Yeah.
Was that over? Is your presentation over?
Yes.
Would you like?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would like to just conclude. I would like to conclude by saying that through my experience, I learned that the more we try to put the same activities that we did previously on the students, now the more troubles we will face. Making it more student-centric will help us a long way, and they will be more involved. I think students nowadays are more equipped and more intelligent and more active, that they can take ownership of their own learning, and they like to have that power. Okay, we are doing something, they like to have that ownership, so they take more interest. So it is always good.
Okay. Thank you, Nishtha. Thank you, Nishtha, and thank you all the presenters for your very interesting ideas and innovations that you shared through your own experience. That perhaps is the one big takeaway for all of us here. These are examples of strategies and ideas that have actually been tried out in actual context and have been successful. So from what I have been able to gather from all the different presentations, which have moved across different kinds of contexts, from working with teachers to working with students in government institutions, to working with students with very low resourced contexts, to what we just heard about, perhaps students with a slightly better off socio-economic background. But the learning from all of this is that different students have, and different stakeholder groups have, different kinds of challenges. So it is important that teachers understand the challenges in their context and adapt their teaching pedagogies and approach to students accordingly. What we have also seen is that when students are made to co-construct knowledge and understanding, there's a lot that we get that perhaps is not built into the syllabus, but it's the teacher's innovative pedagogy, which allows allows students different kinds of ways to participate in their own learning very actively. We've also seen the importance of peer support, whether it is in student groups or whether it is among teacher groups. And I suppose one thing that we have to understand is that because students from different kinds of backgrounds have different kinds of challenges, we need to adapt our teaching methodologies accordingly. If students have access to only tools such as WhatsApp, we have to make the best use of it. If students can actually go and use other sophisticated technologies, well, that's what we can exploit. So I am really grateful to all the presenters for bringing out such beautiful ideas. And I think there is a lot that we might want to discuss further. And there are a few questions that I can see coming up in the chat box. So we can perhaps start with the questions that the audience might have to Manisha. So there was one question that I had noted that was asked to Manisha, and if the speaker, if you know, anybody who wishes to ask a question to the speaker directly, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. If you would like me to read out the question, I could do that, but if you want to speak, that's okay. So there was a question to Manisha about the lessons in English textbooks are from many fields such as sports, science, social sciences, etc. The English teachers become more of a science or social science teacher rather than language teachers. In this case, how can CLIL be a successful approach? So this is one question that I had noted down. But if there are other questions and if this audience wishes to ask directly, please go ahead and do that. I think Manisha also did respond, but if you would like to say something more, please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes. Yes.
Actually, this content and language integrated learning, as Gurunath sir said, that the chapters in English textbooks are from sports and from different fields, but mostly when I wrote this research proposal, this is meant for government schools in West Bengal, where the textbook is where the chapters are very traditional, basically poetry and short stories. They don't have chapters from sports or other topics which are related to social science. So sometimes, I was a teacher, so and then I left my job and then I came to this PhD course. So based on my experience, I started thinking that if those chapters, if the chapters are based upon the interest of the learners, then maybe they will be able to learn the language in a better way. Because after all, English is not an academic subject, I believe. It is a language classroom. So the main goal is to teach them language, to master the language so that they are able to communicate themselves in that particular language. So, so my research proposal was based on that particular experience. And yes, similarly, in CBSE or other schools like GPS, I have an experience of teaching in GPS also. So they have these textbooks. But then again, the teachers, when they teach in their classroom, they don't follow the activity methods. They just read out the textbook. They don't even have time to listening. No, they don't focus on the listening skill. They don't focus on the reading skill. Most of the teachers, they just read out the chapters and then they go on asking question and answer. So children basically focus on learning the answers. So they don't focus on learning the language. So in content and language integrated learning, when activities would be framed based upon the interest of the learner in interactive method, so there would be more involvement from the sides of the learners and less of teacher talk. So children will have more room to share their thoughts, and in this way they will be learning the language instead of just learning the content of the subject. So the focus would be both on learning the content as well as learning on language, as clearly methodology follows.
Yeah, thank you, Manisha. Thank you for that explanation. I can see a question from Tanhaj Rahman. I think that is addressed to Nishthar. Tanhaj, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question directly? I'm not sure whether Tanhaj is here, but Nishtha, if you would like to respond to that, please go ahead. The question.
So Tanhaj asked me that sometimes switching on videos make the students conscious, and we find they interact more with their videos being switched off. So is it always a good idea to ask students to switch on their videos, or is it possible to make the session interactive even with the videos being switched off? See, I believe videos do play an important part for us to give feedback over facial and body language, which is actually, it is equally part of a language building. However, during these times, it is understandable and we need to be a little bit flexible with the video. If the child is is unmuting himself and responding, taking active part in class, and is a bit shy with whatever reason. Sometimes it is because of the background they are sitting in. Sometimes we are dealing with students who are very body conscious. We have to understand that as well. So they might be conscious about how they might look on the video, because over there they can see themselves, right? When we are physically in an environment, we cannot see ourselves, so we are not that conscious. But in a video, we are able to see how we are looking. We are able to feel that eye is looking at us. The child might feel conscious. So if turning on the video make them less participative, I feel being teachers, we can be a little flexible over here, and if the child is responding, we can go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nishtha. Any other questions to any other presenter? Please feel free to switch on your mic. Yes, Gurunath.
Yeah, ma'am, I want to ask a question to Narayanji. So, and his presentation was wonderful, and so the innovations that the teachers have innovated are wonderful actually. So I want to ask him that what kind of a training did the school or the school management give to the teachers to be comfortable with the technology? And he said in his presentation that in the beginning the teachers were not very much comfortable to make use of technology to deliver the classrooms, but later they were very much accustomed to the technology, and now they are very much comfortable. So I want to understand more what sorts of training and how they scaffold the teachers to be comfortable with it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Narayanji.
Yes, I would like to answer. Thank you so much, Guru. See, when this problem came, when the pandemic broke out, so this was a challenge for all the teachers. So what we did centrally, because all for 34 schools, we got a list from the teachers who are not very well versed in using all this technology. Though there were a cohort of teachers who were actually knowing them and they explored themselves. So at a school level, they have their IT team, and IT team supported them. The first stage was this IT team, and the IT from the IT team, the experts from IT team, they conducted a kind of workshop for the teachers, the entire teachers team, not only English. And then they told them how to use all these platforms, if it is a live class or if it is not the live class, how to use these platforms, what are the features, how can you integrate your lesson into these platforms. So local workshop are organized by the school. It was the first step. Second, for all the schools, like all the 34 schools right now, centrally from New Delhi, we organize a workshop regularly. Thrice in a week. Is there?
Nazir ji, could you please mute yourself? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So twice or thrice in a week for almost 2-3 hours, and we demonstrated that how we can use how can you use all these platforms in your classrooms. What are the features? Even we demonstrated the lessons, and we gave them training on different tools, and we asked them to demonstrate another half, right? Let's say for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So using all these things, we made them comfortable in using technology. And then we had one what we call support line or support person always readily available for the teachers. Whenever, let's say today, if I was having my class and I got these many problems, so we created a group, support group, and they posted their queries in that group that these were the problems I faced. Could you help me? And then a person responsible for this support group came to them. And if they felt that the queries are so many and it is a kind of workshop is required for the teachers, then we organize a workshop in a month, and then gradually, initially it was in a week, but it became fortnightly, and then gradually went to in a month. But by now, because we have conducted so many workshops for them, they themselves are exploring many tools and the platforms. We can say that yes, they have grown up, they have evolved. So that is how we trained them and we made them comfortable in using technology.
Thank you, Naranji. Yeah, if I could just sum up what you said, basically the government machinery, because it's a government systemic project. Yeah. Therefore, you also had, a whole technical support team to assist you. And then there was training. So teachers were supported step by step until they became confident to use technology on their own. And once they reached that stage, like you said, they actually went ahead and made more innovations and explored more options, and then started to share these with each other and with students. So here we see how the government's intervention in education for these purposes can really make a difference. I think Naranji's presentation today has shown us what is possible if a school, if a group of dedicated teachers, and if the government can support innovative practices. So thank you for that. Any other question to any other presenter? Today, because we only had 5 presentations out of 9, we have a lot of time to spare until the valedictory session, which begins at 5 o'clock in the main room. But if people don't have questions, if our audience is happy to let the presenters go, we could close down this session. So are there any questions? Any comments, any observations that anybody would like to make? Okay, then I think we can conclude this wonderful session today. We had 5 presentations and we had a wealth of good ideas to carry back home with us. So thank you all the presenters. In the Telegram group, I have just managed to catch a few messages which have mentioned that there have been problems in viewing some of the PPTs on YouTube in the live stream. So I would make a request to the IT team to see what can be done. A lot of people are also requesting the PPTs. So if maybe the presenters are happy to make that available, and they could get in touch with the organizers and share their PPTs with people who are interested in viewing them again. So thank you everybody for being a wonderful audience. Thank you presenters for your patience as well as the beautiful presentations you made. Thank you support team Raghavendra and others. You have really been a very big support. So with this, we bring this session, Teacher Innovations and Challenges, to a close. And I thank you all for being here. And I wish you all the best for the rest of the day, as well as in your own teaching careers. And we hope to meet again once more, maybe virtually, but maybe also physically. So stay safe and stay happy. Thank you. And we can bring this session to a close now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Padmini madam.
Thank you. Raghavendra ji, shall I close down the room? Do you want
madam.
to?
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
you can close it, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
you.